C'est notre île flottant. C'est un classique français. Bon appétit. Some very simple ingredients in this one: eggs, a vanilla pod, sugar, lots of sugar actually, and some natural yogurt, and then limoncello. And that's kind of what makes this one special. But to start with, 4 eggs. All we need to do is separate them out. We need the whites into this bowl for our meringue. Later on, that's the island. And the yolks into this pan, and that will make a creme anglaise, which we'll use as the sea. So, separate them out, just passing them from shell to shell. There we go. You look after the egg whites, and if you can whisk those up to stiff peaks.
Yep.
And here I'm going to make a very simple creme anglaise, but not the traditional version.
Why not?
This is a much lighter tartar version. So,
This was suggested by you guys, wasn't it?
yeah, we had suggestions for things like tiramisu flavoured floating islands or lemon meringue. And I thought lemon meringue was an amazing option. So that's what we're going to go for. Lemon comes from our limoncello, but to stop it being too sweet and sickly, rather than using cream, we're going to use yogurt. Natural yogurt, which looks a bit lumpy at the moment, but that's only because it's set yogurt. I'm also going to add to our creme anglaise 100 grams of sugar, a tablespoon of corn flour, the seeds from 1 vanilla pod. Use the back of the knife just to go along pod, and all of those seeds going in there like so. Give that a mix up, turn it onto a heat, and bring it to a bubble. How's your egg whites doing, Mike?
I think they are stiff.
More than, so that can go in there as well. And then whisk that until it becomes stiff again, and it goes nice and glossy, and the sugar will kind of dissolve into it.
Lovely.
So that's what we're looking for, perfect stiff peak, so leave it at that. Now, this is where we were asked for this dish because people have been watching Great British Bake Off.
Yeah.
And it was on that, and everyone said, oh, you guys haven't made îles flottantes or floating island. And they look quite tricky.
Okay.
And it's quite a traditional method of doing them.
Yep.
We're scrapping that. I'm going to show you the cheat way to get these perfect every single time. We've got a beautiful stiff meringue, and we spoon what they call a quenelle onto there.
What makes that a quenelle?
Just its shape, it's a spoon, but it's like that. You see, it's nice and rounded on both sides, because what you're using is the side of the bowl to get that, and then just letting it fall off so you get nice globules. That then gets a little bit of water put on the plate, and it goes into a microwave for 30 seconds. It's not blasphemy, it really does work. It's not the traditional method.
They are going mental at you.
But if you microwave our meringues for 30 seconds with a little bit of water just on the base of the plate, they come out perfect every single time. So if you can go and do that, 30 seconds. In the meantime, I'll chop up some sugared nuts to go on the final dish. Now these are peanuts that have been sugared and covered in sesame seeds. I got these while I was in Morocco, but you could use sugared almonds, you could use any kind of caramel nut really.
There you go, mate.
Look at that. 30 seconds isn't long, but it's long enough to get that almost marshmallowy consistency going on there. In fact, we only need 1 for this. I'm going to cut into 1 now and show you exactly what we've got inside. There we go, so it's like a cooked meringue marshmallow. 30 seconds, 2 of them, perfect every time. As soon as your custard is boiling, that then gets poured into a tray just to cool down slightly. I'll put it through a sieve, so uber amounts of vanilla, but at the moment, obviously no lemon. That comes now with limoncello, so I love this stuff. Serve it over ice. In fact, if you store it in the freezer, it's really nice to drink like that. Stir that. We don't want this to go cold, but we do just want to take the edge off it so it's not steaming hot, so we'll leave that there. Now, when it comes to placing up desserts, so many of you say that desserts look great and that you guys struggle to make it look the way they do in restaurants. This is one very simple tip to making a sugar cage, which looks super impressive, but is actually really simple because it involves 2 ingredients, 1 generous bowl of sugar and a little bit of water. And that's it. You're gonna make caramel. Put the heat on, and as soon as it's bubbling and turning colour, we can dress it over the top of a bowl. So if we make ourselves some space, you're going to do this bit. So we want to cover it in a little bit of oil so that it's easy to get the cage off afterwards. Careful swilling, no stirring, but as soon as it starts to change colour like that,
Oh, you can smell it already, can't you?
you begin to smell a caramel flavour. Don't let it go too far, and lower it into cold water to stop the cooking. Okay, and then with sugar, that kind of consistency, so it's just beginning to drop, and it's really sticky, you can start to dribble it over the bowl.
Is there a technique to this then?
Just slow and steady.
Yeah,
well, it will be eventually lattice. Obviously, just go one way first, and then when you've had enough of one way, go the other. Round the base to tie all those in, and then a crisscross.
So if you could just give some tips to make this work.
Make sure the bowl is greased.
Yep.
Make sure there's plenty of time where the sugar cross each other, because that's what holds its structure, and then let it set fully before you actually try and lift it off.
Do you do too much?
If you do too much, it'll just be a sugar dome as opposed to a cage. You want to be able to see through it.
It'll be a sugar thimble.
But I think that's probably okay. We'll leave that to set and move over to plating up. So if you bring the custard over, that should have set up nicely. Cool down a little. That's the kind of consistency you want. That, and you lift it up, it just coats the back of the spoon. It's quite a thin custard. A little bit of that in the middle. Let it find its own way along the plate. Grab our big meringue and just lift that onto the top of our creme anglaise. Some of our crushed up nuts, they can be scattered around.
All the way from Africa.
A sprig of mint.
Obviously.
You said it needed to go on, so I completely agree. And then before we cover all that over, we should just be able to ease off this. And if you're very, very careful and you've put enough oil on it, it should just lift off. And that's our sugar cage. So that sits over our meringue. And that is a very, very beautiful, quite celebratory îles flottantes, or floating island with lemon meringue flavours. Sorted. A very satisfying dessert, because when you get to the table, you get the crack.
Nice.
Look at that, and then dig in. Says what you think.
Destroyed it.
A little bit of everything, because it all works so well together.
Oh,
The
wow.
meringue and the sugar, obviously so sweet,
The lemon is the best bit.
but the lemon, and you don't have to use limoncello if you want to avoid alcohol. You just put lemon zest into it.
Yeah,
But I think
still works.
limoncello really just adds something to it. Now, be super careful if you are making sugar work at home. Please don't burn yourself. But if you do integrate sugar work, please send a photo to us with the hashtag sorted food. We'd love to see it.